One day I'm gonna use this video. I don't know for what, but it's gonna be for something major. And my goal is to help people. I really truly want to help people. I want to help people that feel like how I feel and how I felt when I was younger and how I still often feel today. My goal is to speak to the youth about mental illnesses, to talk to them and let them know you can get through this. Most people, when you suffer from depression, if you're a young person, it develops at such a young age, you don't even realize what's happening. And I was told that I had a chemical imbalance when I was 11 years old. I didn't know what that meant. I had a chemical imbalance in my brain, that's what he said. And he said, just like any other part in your body, you'll have to take medicine just to balance the chemicals out. Don't be alarmed, it's nothing. Then I wonder why I started having these overwhelming emotions, different personalities, anger, hurt, pain all the time, frustration all the time. That was depression festering and growing at a young age, and I didn't know what it was. And what did I turn to? Alcohol. Because that was all I knew. My family was falling apart. My life was falling apart. My mother lost custody of me. I went to go live with my father. The marriage broke up because of adultery. And I lost everything that I knew that was mine at 7. And it hurt. Long story short, the fact that I'm 30 years old and this still produces tears is enough for me. It's enough for me to go out and talk to the youth. Talk to people who suffer from depression and anxiety just like myself. Talk to the youth that uses alcohol to heal their pain. You don't know what you're doing. You will get addicted. You will get hooked. I wish it was somebody to talk to me when I was 15 years old. To teach me how to get through this stuff. I want to be that person. I'm going to be that person. I'm going to do it. I want to tour. I want to speak to the youth. I want to speak to the youth. And I want to let them know that you can make it. And you gonna make it. And you gonna be okay. I want these young people to get evaluated if they feeling like they may suffer from depression and anxiety. I want them to get counselors. I want to help. I want to be the help that wasn't the help for me. I truly believe that God allowed me to go through these things so I could overcome and reach back. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. I see myself in 2 years, 3 years, and I'm speaking this and I'm claiming this in the name of Jesus. Overcoming all of this. And my dreams are going to manifest. No more long walks around the building. Trying to get my thoughts together, but I'm uneasy because I'm growing and God is going to use me. And I believe this. In the name of Jesus, I believe this. My name is Jamie O'Shea. My psychiatrist, my therapist, they like to say that I am bipolar. Chemical imbalance. I don't claim that. But God did put those people here to help us out along the way. And I believe God put me here to help people along the way too. And I'm gonna do it. I can't wait to play this in a couple years from now. Thank you, God. If you're suffering from depression, take all that, give it to God, hit the ground running looking for help. He'll send people your way, and you can overcome it, and you will. And he might even use you to reach back and help other people. And I believe he's going to use me to reach back and help. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I thank God for this experience, because it's turning me into who I'm supposed to be.
So my name is Crystal, and I'm 44 years old. And 14 years ago, I went through an illness that a lot of women go through but are too embarrassed to talk about. In fact, this is the first time that I've ever shared my story with anybody outside of my family. And when I say family, I mean immediate family members, because it's still embarrassing, but it happens. And if my story can help somebody, then I want it to. So 14 years ago, I had delivered my son, and I also had postpartum psychosis. Now, let me help you understand. What's a little bit more common is something called postpartum depression. Postpartum psychosis is a whole lot more severe than that. Postpartum psychosis deals with you losing touch with reality, possibly hallucinating and having delusions, and I went through all of that. But perhaps I should start at the beginning. So in 2004, I had a pretty much normal pregnancy, except for a lot of nausea. And I delivered my son in the spring, and my husband and I were very happy. And we were surrounded by friends and family. And my mother took off 3 weeks to be with me. And when it was time for her to go back to work, then everything that was normal in my life changed. The first thing I noticed was I had an increase in anxiety all the time. I really like to have control in my life, and everything about a newborn was out of control for me. But I started to notice that a particular time of day, when it was time for my son to have his nap, strange things started to happen. Now, I do want you to...
Yeah, oh goodness, I love it. That's so gonna be in it. It's gonna be in. That's gonna be in this.
It actually sounds like sound effects for what's about to happen.
Yeah, and
that's the child now. This is what happened to him now.
Perfect.
Right. I don't know if you want a blooper or
no.
That's
Staying.
Right. And I was correct, because listen to him now.
Yeah.
No, but so basically. If you keep in mind, I'm trying to give you a picture. So I'm a first-time mother. I am breastfeeding. And I'm not sure I'm doing it right. I'm doing it like every 2 hours, every day. I'm not getting sleep. I'm up at night, and I'm very tired. And I'm really doubting my ability to be a mother at this time. And then I started to notice that the first day I noticed it was I went to go check on my son in the cradle. And as I walked out the door, I thought I saw like this black shadow hovering over my son. So I kind of came back in, and it went away. And that would probably happen for the rest of that week. Just, me clearing my eyes, me thinking that maybe I needed more sleep. I would tell nobody, but it continued to happen. It then progressed to me realizing that I am seeing things, and I started to call my aunt, who was in charge, his godmother, who was in charge of the christening. And I bugged her every day. I was like, when is the christening again? Why we gotta wait for the pastor? Why can't nobody do it? You mean I gotta wait for all the other kids? Like, why can't we have a personal christening? What I really was looking for was an exorcism, because what I saw over top of my son's cradle, to me, resembled some type of winged creature, dragon, demon, what have you. And I was very, very terrified, because I was convinced that these creatures were trying to steal my son, and that his soul was in jeopardy. And I was very upset because, all I ever wanted was to be a mother, and now my son's soul is in jeopardy. And I was too embarrassed to tell people because I am an actual psychotherapist, and I was a therapist at that time. And I knew that if you told somebody that you thought that the devil was after your kid, then that was crazy talk. And when people have crazy talk, then people take their kids. And I didn't want my son taken. Sorry. I didn't want my son taken from me. Sorry about that. I didn't want them to take my son. So I tried to be quiet about it. And then I remember very clearly just coming to check on him one day. And I looked at my son. And my son sleeps with his eyes partially open, and they would roll in his head like this. And at the same time, I realized what he had was gas. I didn't know it then, but he had gas, so he would make smirks. And please don't laugh at my face, everyone, but he would make smirks like this, and his eyes would roll. And I really thought that my son was laughing at me. Like, it occurred to me that my son knew what was going on. He was enjoying it, and that he was laughing at me. And then over the next few days, I no longer thought that the devil was trying to take my son's soul. I began to realize that my son was the one bringing the demons and spirits into my house, and that my son was enjoying it, and he was laughing at me, and he created all this chaos. And I began to wonder who sent my son. To talk about it now sounds, so different, but this was real. I really was staring at this 2-month-old child, and I was very upset. I felt betrayed. I felt tricked. I couldn't figure out, I had this child, and then I couldn't believe that, the devil had used my son to come after me. I began to believe that my child was placed on earth to take me out. And I no longer really enjoyed feeding him and bathing him because, do you enjoy feeding and bathing people who are coming after you and your enemies? And I was having a really, really hard time. And I really wanted to tell somebody, but I didn't know what to do. And see, when mothers have babies, we don't really let them tell us how they really feel. We don't. We have conversations for them. It goes like this. Oh, aren't you so happy? Oh, isn't this the greatest job in the world? Isn't he beautiful? Isn't this the best thing you've ever seen? Now, that's an answer in the question. And when you say to people, I'm tired, my breasts hurt, I don't know if I made the right decision, I suck as a mother, nobody wants to entertain that. People will help you adjust really quick. They'll go, oh, no, it's the greatest thing you've ever experienced. And if you hear that enough, you'll go, yeah, whatever. You give people the answer they want. People don't put a space for mothers to say, I'm suffering, I'm not doing well. I couldn't even talk to my husband about it. So I just kept it, and I realized I was sliding into darkness. And then I started feeling like, since this baby is here to get me, maybe I need to get rid of it somehow. And I just leave it like that. When I realized that I was having thoughts that the baby needed to go, then that's when I finally told my mother. I started to have conversations with my mother, letting her know I was so upset because, my son is sent by the devil and that my son is out to get me. And my mother was kind of like, what? I remember my mother was washing dishes and she stopped mid-wash and was like, what? What? Who's after you? What's after you? I was like, my son. I was like, every day there's demons circling him and, I'm really struggling. And my mother stopped washing dishes and she sat down and I told her, that I needed help. And my mother decided that she was not going to go home and that she was going to stay there because I guess she thought that this child was in danger. All actuality, this child was in danger. The longer I would have stayed like that, the more I would have thought he was after me. Who knows what could have happened. If you watch TV, you'll see people like Andrea Yates. People who have postpartum psychosis almost always believe that their child is either God or the devil. Andrea Yates thought her children were evil, so she killed them. Kelly Silk thought her children were evil, so she killed them. She set one of them on fire. Postpartum depression almost always focuses on believing your child has an evil intent and must be destroyed. It is way worse than postpartum depression, which involves you not wanting to get out of bed, not having fun, feeling overwhelmed. No, postpartum psychosis deals with hallucinations, delusions, irrational thinking, paranoia, obsessions with, somebody after you. And I guess that is my experience. What happened for me was after my husband came home, he gave me an ultimatum, which was I can go to a psychiatrist or he and my son can move into a hotel without me, which seemed pretty harsh. But I mean, when you tell a man that you think that their child is an agent of the devil that's out to get you, I can kind of understand why he wouldn't want me being the full-time guardian of his child while he's at work. So I kind of get that. But at the time, I thought he was being really petty and judgmental. But that shows you how irrational I was. So I went to the psychiatrist, and they told me that 2 in 1,000 women have postpartum psychosis after delivery. And I was one of the lucky 2 in 1,000. And we talked about my genetic history. I have a schizophrenic great-grandmother, I have a schizophrenic aunt, and I believe that my uncle is schizoaffective, although I don't have paperwork, but I personally believe that's what he was. So the psychiatrist said I am genetically loaded. And I'll never forget that, because what kind of it's like a bomb. Like, you genetically loaded. It's like you're going to explode. So he said I was genetically loaded and predispositioned to mental illness. And when you take that gene pool and then you add postpartum, it was the perfect storm for me to have postpartum psychosis, and that I needed a antipsychotic, and that I would not be able to breastfeed anymore. And then I cried, I had a meltdown. I was like, you don't understand. I have been practicing eating healthy for 9 months. Breastfeeding is everything. You can't take that from me. I have to be able to breastfeed my child. The doctor got really quiet. He was like, you have thoughts of, possible harm? I was like, maybe. He was like, well, you can't breastfeed a dead baby. Very, very blunt, very true. So, I took the pills because he had a point, and I kept pumping. And I actually stopped before the dosage was over. I didn't tell anybody. And lucky for me, just a couple of weeks of antipsychotic was enough for me to be okay, but it does not work out that way for everybody. And people need to notice. I don't know what would have happened if I had stayed psychotic much longer. Of course, my child is now 14 and he's an honor student, and he has a scholarship to a pretty prestigious school in the area. And that's my story, but that's not every woman's story. Some of those babies don't make it. And it's 100% treatable. It is 100% treatable if you know what it is and if you get help. And I just wanted people to know that, especially since we're celebrating motherhood. There's another part of motherhood that people don't get to talk about. And that's my story. So there is a 1-800 line, which I know is at least useful in the United States. I'm not sure where the viewers are located, but it's a 1-800 line. It's for postpartum support. It's 1-800-994-4773. Again, it's 1-800-994-4773. And if you happen to live in Maryland, specifically the county of Prince George, they actually have a mobile crisis unit. They'll come right out to your house. You don't have to go anywhere, and they will assess you and they will get you the help you need. And their phone number is 301-429-2185. Again, 301-429-2185. Both of these numbers are 24 hours a day. The one for PG County, Maryland, Prince George's County, Maryland, is available for other mental crises as well. So please swallow your pride. And if I'm talking to you right now and this sounds like you're in danger. I don't want to sugarcoat it. If my story sounds like yours and you're a new mom, you are in danger, and so is your child. Please get the help you need. And if this is a family member of yours, please get them the help they need.
Hi, my name is Ayla Wilhite. I'm 30 years old. I've suffered from postpartum depression and anxiety. I'm here sharing my story with those who feel like they don't have a voice, who suffer from mental health issues, and promoting mental health awareness. I suffer from postpartum probably about 5 months ago. I'm really just getting over it, and probably since I was about 6 or 7 years old, I've been suffering from anxiety and depression, but it didn't really start to come out until I was like 14 or 15. I noticed that I was suffering from something when I was like 6 or 7, because when I would go out in public, like in a mall or something, I felt weird. Like it just felt like the room was just moving, or it was just like I had taken a drug or something before I went to the mall. But I felt secure because I was with my mom. But I knew something was wrong because that sensation just used to come over me when I was in a public space. And it subsided. And throughout my adolescence, I just always was nervous, and I just isolated myself. And of course, I didn't think anything was wrong with me. I was quiet. Always had like self-esteem, self-image issues, regardless of people telling me if I was pretty or cute or smile, or just people, interacting with me. I still felt like I wasn't worth anything. As years went on, becoming an adult, I became a mom between like 16, 17 years old, so my anxiety really came out. So that was tough, and I suffered from postpartum depression with my first child and my second child. They're 11 years apart. I didn't hear voices or anything, but it just was like I was just sad and didn't really want to do anything. I just wanted to isolate myself. I didn't really want to care for my kids, but what helped me was family and friends. With my first child, family and friends would visit, and I had a lot of help. I was a teen mom. And also what helped me to overcome that stage of depression was that I wanted to do good for my child. I wanted her to, have someone to look up to, and I wanted to still be here for my child. So I continued on with college as soon as I graduated high school. And that was an accomplishment, and I was proud of myself. But I noticed that surrounding yourself with negative energy, negative environment, and people can trigger a lot of the downs when it comes to depression. And anxiety, you really, the person yourself, you really can just elevate your anxiety by worrying and making yourself worry more. Just thinking the what ifs, hypothetically, just putting yourself in bad situations, and that just causes your mind to just keep going with it, and it's you really just spinning yourself in a circle for no reason. So it's just good to practice positive affirmations, staying around good energy, also not isolating myself. I noticed that if I'm sociable, or just even if I go through my phone and send a text, or just try to link up with people, that helps me avoid falling into my pit, because I say that I have crises, and I've been going through it for the past like 3 years consistently. So it'll be I'll do good for 3 months, and then it's like I'll do bad for 6 months. And I was just trying to figure out like what's causing me to keep falling back into that same hole of depression. And I noticed it was just people, whether it's friends and family, and my environment, which was isolating myself. So I had to literally like jot it down mentally, like the people or the environment, and figure it out, go through it and see what it was. And then once I started cutting it out or cutting it back or avoiding people or isolating myself, I started to get out of my depression. Now, anxiety, it still wanders. I've been noticing like I have panic attacks here and there, but I take Prozac, 20 milligrams, and I try to wean myself off of my medicine. And I've been on my medicine since 2012. That's when I first started going to a therapist. So therapy is good. In our community, it's looked upon as, negative. But I think with people starting to speak about mental illness more, it's starting to get recognized that we need it. Therapists, counselors, they go to school for a reason, to help us. And if you don't like your therapist or counselor or psychiatrist, then you just go to someone else, or you take a break. Like myself, back in 2012, 2014, I was going every month. I had to go every week because that's how bad I was going through it. So once I was getting better and take my medicine, and I started just going as needed. So now I don't go to therapy, but the gym is therapeutic for me. So it's like I want to go to the gym 7 days a week, but I'm a mom, I go to work, so I can't really fit in my schedule like I want to. But I also notice with my syndrome, I have to take a lot of notes. I have to put notes in my calendar on my phone. I have to pretty much like have stickies all the time. I have to take a moment, even like if I park my car, before I get out the car and think about what I'm about to do. I have to just reinforce a lot of stuff in order for me to stay on top of my game mentally. And that's just how it is. I mean, I don't look at it as a disability no more than anybody else, but in order for me to be great, I have to do all these things, because it's basically I'm paying attention to myself. I'm protecting myself, my health and my mental well-being. But being organized helps if you're depressed, if you're anxious. A diary helps. The gym, being sociable helps. Advice that I would give to someone who is suffering from any mental illness, especially depression, I would say do not allow yourself to be isolated from family and friends, your loved ones. Just try to push yourself. Tell yourself, I'm going to call so-and-so, your best friend, your best cousin. Tell yourself, I'm going to go for a jog, or something that you like to do. I'm going to pull out my arts and crafts or my music. Do something that you love to do, or do something that makes you just feel like you have butterflies when you do it. Not anything bad, do something positive, because when we're going through these issues with depression or any other mental illness, we crave the easy way out, and we crave the more negative therapeutic methods. Some people, practice using drugs or practice, sexual activities. So we gotta start working on the positive type of reinforcement, because they're out there and we can do it. It's just, you just gotta be strong. And you have to love yourself. Put more attention on you and not your worries and your anxieties. Seek a therapist. Exercise. If there's an event, family event, social event, go to it. Go to the movies. Just get out. Go out in the public. Be around people. Don't stay inside. Don't stay in the dark room. Don't stay in your house. If you have a home or a room and you can paint the walls, paint them a bright color. Do not allow yourself to have any dark walls, any dark blinds in your home. Your home is your safe haven, so you want to make sure that you have a bright space. Also, windows. Open up your windows. Crack your windows at night, so when the sun comes up, the sunlight will hit you. You need all of that. You need that stimulation. That helps you. Anxiety, I would say fight that shit. Stop worrying yourself to death. Stop saying what if. Stop speaking hypothetically on just negative energy. Stop participating in just stuff that is bad for you. Bad people, people who put you down, people who look at you funny. If you get a bad vibe from somebody, don't be around them. Surround yourself with love and support. If you don't know where to find love or support, just speak up. Let people know, like, hey, you're going through something, or, you know, reach out to your best friend or somebody that you can confide in. Make sure you can confide in that person and just let them know, like, your aspirations. That helps me a lot. I have a really good support group, friends and family, and I've always had that. So it's awkward for me to figure out why I've always suffered from mental illness, but it's hereditary. You know, I can't do anything about that except for fight it. And that's all I'm doing. I'm 30 years old and I'm still fighting it, but my support group is really what has gotten me through. My babies, they also got me through. And another thing, I've been trying to tap into this for so long, but seeking a mentor or somebody that you can look up to. Everybody's busy, everybody's working, entrepreneur, or just have lives. But if there's somebody that you admire, or somebody that you would like to be close to, or somebody that pretty much have same interests as you, just reach out to them, let them know, like, hey, you know, I like your energy, I like your spirit, let's hang out sometimes. I'm just looking for a great group of people to be around, trying to make some changes in my life, and you're like a really positive person, and I really would like to just, you know, be a part of good energy. Exchange numbers, mentor, or just a friend, associate, it doesn't matter, but just, you got to speak up. Just speak up, and don't be afraid to let people know, like, you suffer from something. It's okay. It's a lot going on in the world, and these type of things need to be, there needs to be more outreach, but we need to speak up for ourselves, because there's businesses, organizations, nonprofits out here to help us, but they don't really get exposed like they should, and that's a big disappointment to me. So we have to have a voice for ourselves. If you feel like you're in danger, want to harm yourself, or if you need resources on mental illness, please call 1-800-467-0075.
Oh, my name is Jamal, 30, and I live with PTSD. I don't say the word suffer, but I say I live with PTSD. I was a police officer for approximately 10 years. So just things within the job, the nature, you know, doing things, seeing things, being a part of certain things, you know, that kind of, you know, brought on the onset of PTSD. The definition of PTSD would be post-traumatic stress disorder. How I suffer from it, or how I live with it on a day-to-day basis, it's pretty much, it varies. It varies depending on, you know, the things that go on in your day-to-day life. It varies depending on, your stress level, your anxiety level. You know, if you got a lot of, you know, let's say if you have a test coming up, you're stressing about your test, you wouldn't eat. You know, all you're thinking about is your test. You can't think of anything else but your test. Your whole life is off, but you sit up here thinking about trying to focus on the test. That's kind of like the best. That's kind of like the best description I can give of it. But like I said, from day to day, and that will be more of on a mild case. So let's say on a severe case, what I personally experience, you know, what happens to me a lot, I get flashbacks. You know, I start thinking about things that, you know, that may have happened on the job. I may have started thinking about, you know, things that, or start seeing and experiencing. When I say experiencing, you know, you have that, you start thinking about it, and next thing you know, you get that same fear that something is gonna happen. So now I'm sitting up here worried or contemplating in my head, hey, is something about to happen to me? Am I safe? You know, it's kind of like a fight or flight thing. But like I said, PTSD, it could vary. One thing, I think the best example of PTSD that I could explain as far as, you know, my personal experiences and what triggered my disorder or whatever the case may be, whatever they want to call it. I was inside of Macy's and I was shopping, and there was a guy. I was in this section by myself, and there was a guy just, you know, walking around, and, you know, if you see him, he kind of looks, you know, dreadlocks. You know, he had the tattoos on his, you know, on his face and all that stuff. So he kind of look a little rough. So, you know, you see somebody like that inside of Macy's, no pun to anybody who got tattoos on your face. You know what I'm saying? But you know, he's walking up and he's looking dead at me, and we make eye contact, and, you know, he's walking towards me. He has his hand in his coat, and as he's approaching me, he's just like, you know, walking with me, you know, walking towards me, and he has his hand in his coat. And at that point, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh shit, this dude about to shoot me. And I couldn't think of anything else, but I'm like, man, this dude is about to shoot me. So I'm just like, in my head, I'm like, damn, I can't defend myself. I don't have a gun on me, or even if I did have a gun on me, like, would that have been a good situation for a guy walking up to me with his hand in his coat like that? So the guy approaches me, next thing you know, he comes right up to me, and he's like, oh, hey man, you work here? Because he was trying to find something in a section. And the whole time, you know, I thought that it may have been, you know, I thought I was in a situation where I may have been probably in danger. What happens with people with PTSD, we tend to overthink. We overthink and like, all right, should I do this? Should I do that? Is it safe for me to do this? You know, do I want to be around? Because my thing is, right now, I don't like to be around large crowds. You got to challenge yourself. Challenge yourself to, I'm not sure about people who suffer with other things, you know, that they may control, but I don't use any medication. I try to pray. I reach out to family, and I have an uncle who's a veteran, and he suffers from PTSD. Him and I, we talk, and the funny thing about it is his talk therapy helps. Talk therapy, I recommend that to anybody that's suffering from anything.
What is talk therapy?
Talk therapy is when you pretty much, you can either do it with a counselor or a person that you can say that you know you can confide in, who won't, you know, judge you, who won't, you know, go tell somebody else or something like that. So if you feel like you need to talk to somebody, always call the hotline. There's a hotline you can speak to. It's 1-800-467-0075. You can call that number. You can talk to a counselor. Somebody will probably help you. Not probably, hopefully they will help you. But the biggest thing about it is, please, 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 never, ever, ever feel afraid to reach out for help.